Have you ever walked away from a conversation frustrated, confused, or even angry, only to find out later that you completely misunderstood the other person? Have you ever received a text that sparked a whole mind melt based on one single sentence? Or presented someone with a great idea, only to find out they reject it completely with no explanation? You're facing miscommunication, my friend. Miscommunication isn't just annoying, it's damaging to your career, to your relationships, and even your self esteem. And it doesn't just happen to us, it happens at the highest levels. In fact, did you know that a tiny miscommunication cost NASA $327 million? You heard. $327 million. Just because a small miscommunication, the probe going to Mars was talking in Newton seconds, but the machines receiving the information were talking in pound seconds, which is a difference of 1 to 0.2. And when calculating the changes it made to its desaturation maneuver, an automatic maneuver it makes to its solar panels to stay afloat and on the course, the scientists at home rendering that into recalculation of the collision course, that makes a rather big difference. So all the calculations were wrong. So instead of that $327 million probe nicely orbiting Mars as it should have, taking wonderful pictures of its surface, it smacked right into it and got completely obliterated. NASA and $327 million lost due to a misunderstanding over a unit of measurement for seconds. Over seconds. That's how much miscommunication can cost. You can always shift the blame to find out who's the culprit, but the worst part of miscommunication isn't the result that can come from miscommunication. The worst part of it is that most of us don't even realize we're doing it. So today, I'm going to bring down how miscommunication happens and, most importantly, 5 game-changing strategies to stop it before it even begins. Because when you master techniques, you'll be able to speak with confidence and an open mind, connect deeply with people, and finally, and crucially, eliminate those incredibly frustrating misunderstandings. So, if that sounds good, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you never miss an episode on mastering communication and self-confidence. Let's get into it. So, what actually happens when we miscommunicate? First of all, we filter everything through our own experience. Imagine this. You're playing catch, but instead of a ball, it's a lump of clay that you're playing with. The idea didn't come from me. It came from this talk, this TED talk that is actually amazing. So please have a look at it because they explain miscommunication very well. So, you throw this ball, but it's a lump of clay. Every time you catch it, you reshape it, right? Because the material is flexible. That's exactly what happens in conversation. Your past experience, your emotions, your assumptions, your identity, where you come from, your culture, your language, everything change the meaning, change the shape of that lump of clay. And so, change the meaning of what you hear before you throw it back. So the problem here is that we don't actually hear what was said, we hear what we think was meant. And that is an entirely different thing, isn't it? Another problem that leads to miscommunication? We assume people understand what we mean. So, for example, if I ask someone to do the dishes and they come back to me and say, I always do the dishes. And then I say, no, but what I mean about cleaning the dishes is cleaning the dishes and then making them dry. And then after they're dry, putting them away. That is what I mean by do the dishes. Okay, well, what I heard when you said take care of the dishes, it means just clean the dishes. See the issue? When someone tells you to do the dishes, for one person, doing the dishes can just mean clean the dishes or just put them in the machine and just make the machine run. But for another person, clean the dishes or take care of the dishes can mean take care of the dishes until you put them in the cupboard. See the issue? Assuming that people understand our meaning without checking leads to instant miscommunication. Third thing that happens in miscommunication, we listen to respond, not to understand. A lot of people actually talk about this. There is Terry Cole, a licensed psychotherapist. There's also Brené Brown. There's lots of people that talk about this. But let's take Terry Cole's example because she calls this the fight or flight communication. So instead of truly listening, we mentally prepare our response already, waiting for our turn to prove that we're right. It's not always in arguments. It can also happen just in conversation where you're like sharing a point of view and instead of actually listening to the adventure that the other person is talking about, you are actually already thinking, oh yeah, that happened to me too, this and that and that. But you actually didn't really listen to what the person was telling you. So What Terry Cole talks about, the fight or flight communication, is usually in arguments where when your emotions are high and when you're in an argument, in a heated argument, you stop listening to what the other person says, only to say what you think and what your point of view is without actually listening to the other person, which of course leads to miscommunication because you're not actually listening. Ever noticed yourself doing that? If you have, comment and done that in the comment below, so let us know. Because we all do it, don't we? Fourth problem that leads to miscommunication is over-explaining something to fix a problem. So this is when maybe you know that someone is not going to understand what you're about to say, but you try to over-explain yourself to make sure that the other person knows what you mean. So for example, do you mind doing the dishes, please? When I don't just put them in the sink and put water on them. Just
clean them and then clean them and then you can let them dry on the dryer. But you can also dry them with a napkin. That's fine. But do you mind just putting them away when you're done?
How much information was just given to you? Turns out the more words you use, the more confusing it gets. Instead of clarifying, you may sound defensive, dismissive, or even argumentative. Fifth problem that leads to miscommunication: our body language. I know. Well, when you mean what you say, your body language is your friend. But when there's a hidden message, your body language can sometimes say what you mean and not what you say. Catherine Malloy talks about this in her TED Talk, which is very interesting. People trust body language over words, consciously or unconsciously. So, for example, if public health officials are saying, "Don't touch your face," what are they doing? They're telling you not to touch your face, but what are they actually doing? They're touching their face. So what do you understand? Touch your face. Or is someone saying, "I'm listening," while they're checking their phone? That happens all the time, doesn't it? No, I am listening. I am. You're right. People believe what they see more than what they hear. Want to know the proof of this? When you understand something that someone says, you say, "I see," right? Now that we've seen these 5 places where miscommunication happens and 5 ways that it does take place and that it origins, let's move on to the part where we find out how to solve these problems. So, how to stop miscommunication before it even starts. Miscommunication isn't about fixing what's wrong. It's about setting up a communication technique or system for success from the start. So, let's start with the first point. Recognizing that passive hearing is different than active listening. You know when someone is talking and you're just nodding at them while thinking about something completely different, like what you're going to have for dinner? Yeah, well, that is listening. It's not active listening. So you're kind of receiving the information, but you're not really processing it because you're thinking about what you're going to have for dinner. You can't really do 2 things at the time, unfortunately. So this is how you fix it. Notice when you're distracted and if you're distracted and just fix it. So you can say it. You can say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I wasn't listening. Can you repeat that, please?" Or what you can do is when you realize that you're not actually listening, just stop there and just, focus on the person that you're talking to and engage actively then with verbal cues or non-verbal cues, like really look at them, really listen. That helps. The other thing you can do is use reflective listening. So something like, "So what I hear you saying is," or like, "Okay, so tell me if I'm correct. Did you say blah, blah, blah?" So it's reflective listening. It's also called mirroring. It's telling what the other person has said so that you make sure you understood their point before you answer. Because then, in that case, you actually made sure that you understand the actual words and the actual meaning behind the words that they used, instead of just, interpreting and, sending that lump of clay back, rather than just, the clay that they had in their hand. And then, when you have made sure that you understood their message, adjust your message based on their response. So adjust your response to what they actually have said, rather than, the response that you've already started making in your head without listening to them. Your goal isn't just to listen, it's to make sure that you've understood them, and is also to make them feel heard, especially in an argument. It's so important to make people feel heard. Otherwise, it'll just, they go into emotional shutdown, and you can't get anything from anyone when they're in emotional shutdown. So the second thing you can do is be aware of your own perception filters. We have so many perception filters, it's unreal. It can be language, it can be culture, it can be feeling. How are you feeling today? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling miserable? Are you frustrated for some reason? There are so many filters. We're human. We have incredible complex systems in our brains. Realize that, notice it, and don't assume that you're just listening. Just, take care of your perceptions and your filters. It's like we all have a different set of glasses, that we see our life through. Make sure you know what your glasses are made of before just filtering everything through those glasses. Listen to people, listen to what they say. You'll be surprised. So these are 3 questions that you can ask yourself to stop assuming that you've heard and understood what the other person has said. So you can ask yourself this. 1, have I listened to what has been said, or have I already jumped to conclusions? By jumping to conclusions, I mean, oh, this person is judging me because of this, or, oh, they're saying this to me because blah, blah, blah. Or it can be like,
Well, yes, I did do the dishes because I cleaned them, right?
have I actually listened to the words that they said, or have I already interpreted what they said? Second question, am I interpreting what they're saying based on facts or on my own experiences? So am I interpreting what they're saying based on what they actually said, the words they used, or am I interpreting this because of my own glasses that I'm wearing today, or my own experiences, or what I know of them, and blah, 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 blah. Third one is asking yourself, this is how I see it. How do you see it? Because we really, even the closest people to you, you see things differently to them. It's a true fact, like literally. When I say pink, you will see pink, I will see pink. There will not be the same pink that we see. So be clear with what you mean. And if you're not quite clear, ask them to just explain themselves. Misunderstanding, gone. This simple shift stops misunderstandings before they even begin. Third thing you can do is clarifying without explaining. You know the thing about talking too much and giving too much information? When someone is confused, less is more. Instead of, I always clean my dishes, I don't know what you mean, which can sound defensive and aggressive and, can lead to misunderstanding and an argument. Say this, can you clarify what you mean by doing the dishes? A thing that I really like and that I find very clear is what Brevity Brown says about this. She uses the saying, paint done. So basically what she says is, when you ask someone to do something, don't just tell them, I need you to do the dishes. Paint done would be, okay, so what do you want of me? So what do you want the kitchen to look like when I've done the dishes? Paint done, basically. What do you want the wall to look like when the paint is done? What do you want it to look like? When you say doing the dishes, what do you mean? What do you want it paint done? Okay, so when I say do the dishes, I would like the dishes to be completely gone from the kitchen. Paint done, right? Really clear, really simple. I love that expression. And thank you so much, Brevity Brown. Brevity equals clarity. Fourth thing you can do is align your words and your actions. Going back to the TED by Catherine Malloy, the way that she says to fix it is, if you say, I'm happy to help, but cross your arms and look annoyed, people believe the body language, not the words. So check if your actions are actually matching your message. Why are they not matching your message? What is the problem? Can I talk about the problem openly? Take a leap of faith. I assure you that most of the time when your body language isn't matching your words, that means that something is already happening in your body. Try to analyze what is happening. Why am I frustrated? Why am I sad? Why am I doing this? Why am I feeling defensive? Why am I feeling like I'm justifying myself? Try and check within yourself and see if you can talk about it. So say, okay, I'm so sorry. I've been a bit aggressive about talking about the dishes. But the thing is that it's been already twice since the dishes are just left uncleaned in the sink. So it actually makes me feel like my time isn't valued. I really like a clean kitchen. So do you mind doing the dishes when I ask you to? Because I feel like you don't value my time and you don't value my words, and constantly repeating myself is really frustrating. When you're defensive, it means something else is happening. So take that into account. Try to analyze it in yourself and talk about it. You would be amazed at how receptive people are when you talk about how you feel. And poof, miscommunication gone. And you're opening the way to an amazing opportunity to have a deep and meaningful conversation with someone. It will strengthen your relationship, I promise. The fifth thing you can do is setting regular check-ins for clearer communication. So Terry Cole talks about this again, Brevity Brown as well. In different places, you can set up different check-ins, of course. You can just set up times during the week where you're going to talk about things that frustrated you or things that went wrong. Most conflicts start because small issues pile up. So if you make sure to talk about the small things when they come up, it won't become big. So here's a story I really like that talks about this, right? So there's a child that finds a tiny little dragon under their bed. They don't say anything to anyone and they just leave it there for now. The dragon, unfortunately, becomes bigger and bigger and wants to eat and gets hungry. So at first it's fine because it's a small dragon and they eat little piles of food. So the child can just bring it, sweets or pasta or stuff like that. But the thing is that the more the dragon grows, the more food it needs and the more it's starting to eat things. So it's not stopping at food. It will actually eat up what is in the child's room. It will start eating their toys and then it will start eating the furniture. And then all of a sudden, this dragon has broken the bed that it's under and it's actually tight within the bedroom. It's growing, 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 and then it breaks the walls and it breaks the house, right? If the child had spoken to their parents or to anyone that took care of them about the fact that they had a dragon under their bed, maybe the house would not have been destroyed. But because they haven't, the house is destroyed. They could have taken care of the dragon. They could have put it in a better suited place. They could have taken care of it, maybe in some other place that doesn't need to limit them. This story I love because it's exactly what happens to problems when you don't talk about them. They grow. And instead of just being managed when they were manageable, they grow into things that are uncontrollable and that leave so much more damage than they should have had if you had just spoken about when they were tiny. Also, I love dragons. So the solution for this is several things. So you can either set a weekly state of union, check-ins with your partner, your team, or your family. So for example, every Sunday evening, you talk about the things that frustrated you or that you got angry about or that you didn't like so that, you set it in a calm space and a safe space. You can also discuss concerns before they become major problems. So for example, the body language thing that we spoke about. If you feel it inside, it means it's real. Trust your body. Your body knows. So if you feel frustrated when you're in a conversation, you can just say it. Okay, I'm feeling frustrated. I'm really sorry. This is how I feel right now. So recognize the emotion. Either continue the conversation and talk about how you feel within the conversation, or if you feel you're getting overwhelmed by emotions, just pause the conversation and say, look, I feel much too frustrated and much too angry to talk about this right now. So can we just pause this conversation and come back to it when we're both calm? This will for sure make you have better conversations about problems, I promise. This habit will save you 90% of unnecessary conflicts and unnecessary damages of miscommunication. To sum it all up, miscommunication is frustrating, but it is preventable. By applying the strategies that we looked at in this video, you won't only resolve miscommunications better, you will actually stop them from happening again. And it will help you build deeper, stronger connections with everyone around you. If this video has helped you recognize a communication habit that you want to change, or if it has given you any tools, any useful tools that you're going to apply in your life, please like this video and maybe comment below, I see it now, if it has helped you in any way. You can also, of course, talk about the habit that you want to change in the comments below and what strategy you want to put into place to change it. Communication isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. And I have a ton of other things in stock to help you become a master communicator. So if this video has helped you see communication a little bit clearer, if this video has given you the will to become a better communicator, please don't forget to like and subscribe before you go. It helps me know that my content is based on your needs because I'm here for you. So please, please, please do like, subscribe, comment below, tell me. I'm here to help you. So tell me in the comments if you have any questions that you would like me to answer in another video. It will be my pleasure to make a video about it and to answer your questions. I'm here to help you. That's it for us for today, my friends. Take care, follow your passion, and please, please, please speak up. I'll see you in the next video. Ta-ta.